Welcome, Tommy. Sorry about that. We were in a different room. Eh, All right. I'm glad you decided to come join us. We were over here all lonesome. Me and Angela. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started now that you're here with us. And we're going to start the class with just some mindset training. Before we get started, is it okay if I tell you just a quick bit about myself? Is that okay? Yeah. Awesome. My name is Jackie. I've been training for Quick Learning School since, well, as a trainer since 2003, but coaching people on how to pass their state exams since April of 2000. So I'll be hit my 25-year anniversary coming up soon. Yeah, long time. I am a licensed life agent. I've been licensed a few times. I was a independent agent many years ago when I first started this journey to be a trainer, actually, because in order for you to be a trainer, you have to have a license. And as an independent agent, I found that was too much independence. And then in 2009, I decided to go with a bigger company, mutual insurer, actually. Can't tell you the name of the company, but I can tell you it's actually one of they say the second biggest and most successful insurance business in the state, in our nation. And so, again, I can't tell you the name of the company, but the really cool thing about that company is they were really big about training. And I'll never forget, I was sitting in the training room my first day, and all the questions that the trainer was asking, I was the only one raising my hand to answer. And all the information came from the pre-licensing courses that we taught, right? So a lot of the information that you learn in the life class is very similar to real life, which is different than property and casualty, right, Angela? You went to take the class for property and casualty, and then you go to real life. It's the polar opposite. But in life, it's very similar. So that's kind of cool. The test, though, as you know, there's test life and then real life, and sometimes that doesn't jive. And so we're here to remind you, put everything aside, Angela, right? What you know in real life may be a bit different here. But if you walk into the class and you're like, well, I already know this, then your brain shuts down and you're not able to retain anything. The idea is to come in here with the mindset of, I know nothing, right? And then that way it keeps your mind open to be able to listen and to digest all this information we're going to go over today. Now, if you hear something that does sound familiar, what I want you to say to yourself is, wow, this is a great review. But don't say I already know that, because again, the mindset that's created when you say that, it just shuts down your mind, right? And so again, there's a saying, you create your world with your words. And we don't want to shut things down, because subconsciously things happen when you say, I already know that. Okay. So again, Tommy, you've been in Irma's class all week. So if you hear something that's familiar while you're driving, just want you to, again, tell yourself, ooh, wow, this is a great review. Don't worry about looking at the screen, Tommy, because I don't want you to get in a car accident while you're driving. All right. But just go ahead and listen. And the first part of the class is going over mindset. Again, 50% of passing any test is mindset. And so is it okay for us to go over a bit of the mindset before we get started on the content? Yeah. Okay, awesome. So the question is here, we're going to just follow the PowerPoint presentation to make it very simple and to make sure we don't go off tangent. All right. So first things first, how many of you are excited to be here? Yay, me too. Right, early on Saturday. Tommy, I hear I see your lips moving. Is that, are you trying to talk to us? Be careful with you're muted. I just see your lips moving. I wasn't sure if you were trying to talk to us.
No, I put on milk. No.
Okay. Oh, okay. I just saw your lips moving, so I was wondering if you were trying to say something. Okay, we're going to continue on. All right, here we go. How many of you are not excited to be here? Valid question, valid. It's a Saturday, right? How many of you still trying to figure out what you're doing here? That's what it's for. Just a little laugh. I do have class rules that we typically go over. First, try to be on time. Well, this is not a full class. This is an optional class, as you know. Rule number 2, play at 100%. The more you play, the more value you're going to get in the class. Rule number 3, laugh anyway. because I'm going to say things that may not be funny, but if you laugh anyway, it's the emotion around it that helps you retain the information. So again, it's all that mindset stuff subconsciously that happens. Again, we don't have a lot of time to go over everything, but there's a few distinctions that we do want to make sure that we cover moving forward. Did you took the cram course with us, Angela, for property and casualty? Do you remember this slideshow, this presentation at all?
A little bit.
Okay.
I think it'll come back to me.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different for property and casualty. I think Lee goes over it or Joel, I'm not sure who you worked with. They use a different PowerPoint, but same and similar information, to be honest. All right, so how many want to pass the state exam the first time? You're in the right place. All righty. So before we get started again, a couple questions I'd like to ask. Do you think wanting to pass is enough? What do you think? Is wanting to pass enough? No, great answer. Yeah, you're right. It is not enough. You can't sit here and say, I want to pass, I want to pass, I want to pass. You have to actually take steps towards that. So if wanting to pass is not enough, oopsies. We want to just make sure that we remember that 50% of passing any of the state exam is mindset, but that means wanting to pass is just not enough. So if wanting to pass is not enough and 50% of passing any state exam is mindset, then how do we ensure that we have the right mindset to pass? And the answer is we must follow the curriculum to pass the state exam the first time. The curriculum to pass the state exam the first time, you see here the acronym GWC. This is a introduction to acronyms in general. This reminds me to remind you that there'll be a lot of acronyms on your test, and you do have to know what the acronyms stand for. This is an acronym you'll use to pass your state exam, but it won't be on your state exam. All right, so you're probably wondering what the heck is GWC before we go over that curriculum. And since 50% of 50% of passing is mindset, is it okay if we invest some time this morning creating the mindset to pass? And everybody said yes already. So let's start with some core distinctions. The first is called the circle of knowledge. Then we'll go over the results formula, and then we'll go over what GWC stands for. So here's the circle of knowledge right here. It's kind of interesting. I was doing some work. I wanted to put it on the PowerPoint because what tends to happen is I usually put it on the whiteboard, and then my Zoom students can't even see what I'm talking about. So I created it on PowerPoint last night. That was fun to transfer it over, but I kind of lost the ability to control like what I put where and all that fun stuff. So bear with me. The first distinction of the circle of knowledge is the theory that there is a lot of knowledge there is to know in the whole wide world. And there's things that you know. And when you were born, you didn't even know very much, but throughout life, you've been able to access a lot of knowledge from your parents, from your peers, from going to classes, and from experiences of life. Maybe your religion, your spirituality has created this knowledge that you know, right? Like, so Angela, do you know how to drive a car? Yeah. Do you know how to perform brain surgery? Oh, so where does that lie? That lies in this area over here on the KDK, the things you know that you don't know. Okay. Do you know how to fly an airplane? So that's where it's at, in the area of the things that you know that you don't know. Now you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with passing the test? It has everything to do with passing the test. Let me continue on. Let me ask you this question real quickly. During the online portal that you were learning, were there some things that you were like, wow, I didn't know that? Yeah. And it wasn't even in your scope of information that you wanted to know, right? It was just something that you learned that you thought was out there, and now you know that you don't know it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you have the desire, you'll put it in the area of the things that you know that you know. For example, I asked, do you know how to perform brain surgery? Do you have any desire to learn how to perform brain surgery? So it'll stay right here the rest of your life. Things that you know that you don't know. You don't know how to fly a plane. You don't know how to drive a car. No, you do know how to drive a car. You don't know how to perform brain surgery. It'll stay right there. Make sense?
Yeah.
So if this is the things that you know that you know, and this is the things that you know that you don't know, what the heck is this over here, the other part of the circle? And that's the things that you don't know that you don't know. And if I were to ask you, hey, give me an example, you wouldn't be able to, because it's that other stuff that we were talking about a second ago. So this is how I've always taught the circle of knowledge, using this circle. Like I said, when I was doing my research last night to kind of find the best circle of knowledge, I ran into this. Right here, this thing right here. And I kind of thought like, wow, this is a better way of understanding it. Like here we are, right? Stuff that we know. It's our circle of, things that we know that we're very comfortable with. But then there's a stuff that's farther away from us, the things that we know that we don't, things that we know that we don't know. And then farther away, we have the stuff that we don't know that we don't even know, right? So I thought that was a cute way of another visual of seeing this. But again, for so many years, I've taught it this way. Now, it's interesting because once you do research, like the access of the things that you don't know that you don't know, right? Like I didn't know that this was a good way of presenting it. Like I'm like, well, let me try it out tomorrow and see what people think. But I've always taught it this way. But when I was looking online on Google, I was able to access more of these things that you don't know that you don't know. In fact, I actually found this video right here. And this video that I was trying to click on that didn't work, but that's okay. Goes over, can't even get to it. Let's see here. If it lets me open it. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to let me. It says it's doing something, but we'll just leave it there. Anyway, this video goes over the whole theory of the things that in the circle of knowledge, which I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool that there's people that have invested their time to actually create a whole video on the theory and how it all works. We don't need that for this class. We just need to have a conversation. And people say, well, why? What does it matter? Like, why do we have this conversation about the circle of knowledge? Well, it's important to remember, as I was saying earlier, if you're stuck on, well, I already know this, you're not open to listen to the things that you don't know that you don't know. You're kind of stuck here and you don't let anything else in your brain. You said something earlier. You said you're having some senioritis. You graduated from college and you're like, so much information. And you've had your way of studying for so long, right? You came here for quick learning school for the property and casualty. The cool thing is you successfully passed your property and casualty the first time. And so you have that win of passing your state exam, especially the hard one. This is an easier one compared to that one.
Studying so last minute till like 2 in the morning.
Yeah, but it was because you were confident in what you were studying, and you were and you were in the class. And so you've already accessed a lot of the information here, and you were able to move it to here using our systems, our processes. And you were able to do that because you had an open mind. So the whole conversation, again, for Tommy, especially because Tommy's driving in, is that it's important to have an open mind when we have this conversation. By having an open mind, you're going to be able to access the information that we have here on the things that you don't know that you don't know. So again, this is a state exam, and most people do not know how to approach a state exam. And they don't even know that they don't even know that. Does that make sense? They think that they know how to approach it because they've taken tests their whole life. But as you can attest, your tests from your college are way different than a state exam. They're not created the same. They're not created equal, right? In that a state exam is not made for you to pass. A state exam is made, in fact, for you not to pass. In fact, if too many people pass, they change the state exam. So it's not about, let's get everybody to pass. It's, let's find a sweet spot on this test where only a certain amount of people will pass, and certain people will have to take it a few times, right? Based on the difficulty level. So again, it's not made for you to pass. So we want to play this game in a way where we're going to win. We're going to pass the first time because we're not playing it the standard way. We're playing it our way, right? And Quick Learning School has been teaching the distinctions for over 40 years on how to successfully pass a state exam. And so I'm just here to remind you, okay, of having an open mind and how important it is during this conversation. All right, so does everybody agree to have an open mind? Okay, awesome. Our next distinction is the results formula. Now, again, I should have said this earlier. As a trainer here at Quick Learning School, we're required to go through a lot of train the trainer programs and professional development programs. Your mom has probably gone through a lot of professional development, being with State Farm for so many years. She's probably brought that home to you, maybe, right? Yeah.
A lot of stuff, especially for the agent.
But a lot of stuff on how to keep a positive mindset too, right?
Oh,
like
yeah. She has a lot of workshops that she'll email us about, like through the team on Teams and stuff, which I find really cool.
Yeah.
Motivating.
And you have to, because we're in such a negative industry, to be honest with you. If you look at the big picture, 10 to 1, 10 no's to 1 yes. That's not a great industry. And in life insurance, it becomes a little bit harder, right?
Oh yeah.
With property and casualty, it's required by law, so people are calling you. But for life insurance, 10-to-1 is basically the norm in the beginning. Now, your mom being an agent, you can use her book. You're gonna have probably a easier close ratio. You might even be down to like 5-to-1 in the beginning, and then close, maybe in about a year or two, be maybe like a 3-to-1. For every 3 people, you'll get 1 to buy. Because you have the trust already, you have the rapport with the client already, so it'll be easier to just upsell them or to sell them into life insurance, right? Or an annuity, whatever product you're trying to get them to buy from you. But where I was going with that is the professional development courses that I've taken. I've been doing this for over 35 years on professional development courses because my mom too was an insurance manager. And so I also had the chance to get all this information as a young person, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, yeah. Mom, what are you listening to? Jack Canfield, why? Les Brown, who? Right? Who's that talking? And so for many years I've been exposed to this, but what I did was in 2006, I brought the conversation into the classroom because I felt it was very important to teach the students ahead of time. You're going to get it eventually through your training. But sometimes they wait, like the company that I was with, in order for our agents to get the training, they have to be there for 6 months. So they have to make it to 6 months before they're going to even expose them to the training, which I think is kind of counterproductive. Because I think if they gave it up front, there would be a huge shift in mindset to be able to create more success with agents, right? Some companies too, not ours, so not the one that I was with, but they would just, throw people at the wall and see if they're going to stick. And unfortunately, it's just, if they were to have this conversation, I think that would, again, more people would stick, right? And so I like to share one that I've gone through a lot of training. I've tweaked it for this class, but I always give credit where credit is due. The results formula I actually learned from T. Harv Eker. T. Harv Eker is a gentleman that started the company called Peak Potentials, and he did a lot of experiential learning. Like there was one course called the Warrior Camp where my husband and I went for our 5th anniversary, stayed in tents and had these pretty experiential learning activities like climbing a mountain with like bricks and wood, and it was just this crazy camp that we went to. But in the long run, you learn more about yourself and what stops you, your limiting beliefs, and you learn about in this case, my spouse, on how much his way of being is, right? Like, so I learned a lot about him. They should make this required before you get married to anybody. You see the right? And it matches. So it was kind of interesting. But like I said, it really taught me a lot. But I like T. Harv Eker. He has the most simplified results formula, but it doesn't matter where you go, whether it's Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, Bob Proctor, Mark Victor Hansen, Christopher Howard. It doesn't matter who you go listen to. Everybody will give you the results formula. Why? Because their job is to get you to get results in your life, right? Tony Robbins calls himself the #1 peak performance strategist of the world, right? Peak performance results, basically. He has a different formula. He has more information in his formula, where T. Harv Eker, it's simplified and it's easier for me to explain in the class. And that's why I use T. Harv Eker. Again, I want to make sure I always give credit where credit is due. So if you ever want to learn more about T. Harv, again, he's on YouTube and you can totally learn more information about him. So without further delay, the results formula. How does it work? How do we get results in our lives? Since Tommy is driving, I don't want to pick on him too much, but Angela, you're the star of the show because you're not driving. So you got the results of, let's just say, being here today, right? What created the results that you have of being here this morning? Right on time. Got here right at 9.
Traffic was light. Paying attention, aware, not just with the pass the online course.
Oh,
Get the
great.
certificate, right, to go to a class to at least take the exam, right?
Awesome.
Do that.
Yep. The 52-hour class.
Yeah.
But
So
40 hours since you already have the code for PC.
oh yeah. So I guess those were my things to get me this result. right?
Yeah,
My
so you
test.
took specific actions. Those specific actions that you took, whether it be this morning or finishing your classes, got you the results of being here right now. Make sense? Again, this is just a reminder of what we've done to help you put it in your toolbox today so you can use it to be able to pass the test tomorrow. Okay. Or for you in January.
Yeah,
So again, there's specific results that you have, and it's because of the actions that you took. But what could be the actions that you took?
my mindset.
Yeah. So we're going to call that your feelings and your emotions. How you feel your emotions actually create your actions. So this morning you woke up and how are you feeling?
Tired.
Oh no. What happened? You
it's
said
just-
you got
I'm not a
enough
morning-
sleep.
I'm
Give
not
us
a
a-
morning person. so I
Oh.
don't sleep till like.
Oh my gosh, you sound like me. Okay.
Yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah, I sleep till like the afternoon, then I'm like, oh, then I'm like.
And then
sleepy
you're
face,
up all
Um,
night. What
yeah.
time do you go to sleep?
Like maybe 1:30 when.
Do not take your test in the morning.
No, yeah, my test is at 2:30.
2:30. Okay, good.
Online, yeah.
Okay,
I made
good.
sure. Of that. Yeah, 'cause it was
That would
at
be
10 a.m.
counterintuitive if you were to do it in the
Yeah,
morning.
usually if it's like stressful, I don't sleep. Like I'll wake up right away.
Yeah.
Like my anxiety is
Yeah.
like you have something big to do.
Yeah.
Like that's just how my brain works. But if it's like nothing emergent, then it just depends on my mindset a little bit. But,
Right.
Yeah, luckily I did okay with the PMC being at like 10 a.m. I think.
Oh.
or 10.
Really?
And I had to drive there. to the
Oh, you
testing
did it in
center, right?
person.
I did it in person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was intense. They're like checking behind my hair. They
Oh, wow.
made me roll up my sleeves. They made me roll up my ankles.
Wow.
they, like,
What
felt-
location did you go to?
Like right in like Santa Clara area.
Okay. Scotts Boulevard. Yeah.
Yeah. And
We actually go over like the experience. So you're kind of sharing that ahead of time. So those are some of the experiences that you had with PSI going there. So
Yeah,
this time you're
yeah.
going to take it remotely.
Yeah.
Which we always say it's not a good idea to do, but you are, I hate to say this, but you are, one of those that ended up going online school because you had to during the pandemic
yeah.
and
Yeah.
during college too, or
Yeah, so I'm pretty experienced with taking online exams.
yeah.
Like
you'll be
finals.
fine.
So I'm aware of, I'm not as anxiety driven when someone's watching me take an exam. Like I always
You're
had
used
that
to it.
anxiety when I was younger, but then I figured out sometimes they weren't really watching me, but that's the story.
They
Different
are
story.
watching you on this one
This
though.
one, I know for a fact they're
Yeah.
watching me. And my colleague at work, she took it online.
Oh,
So
did she?
she was telling me her whole experience and it was wild.
Yeah.
She was she said she forgot her charger
Oh no.
out of the room.
Oh
So
wow.
she was like, my computer's dying, like can I go grab my charger? And the guy was giving her a hard time about it.
Oh
She
my
was like,
gosh.
I swear, like I swear, like I just need to grab it. I'll take you with me. So
Yeah.
she had to take him with her.
Oh really? Well, at least they let her.
Yeah, he'd just be like, okay, pan the room. Like she'd
Yeah.
take an exam, like, okay, show me the room immediately now. That she was feeling. It
Yeah.
was intense. So I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm not planning on cheating. Like that's something that's like
There's no need to.
there's no need to. It's too scary to do that. And
Yeah.
and also I need to learn this for my job. So there's no point. Like it's not
Not like that for you.
something that's history or
Yeah.
English. Like this is something I
You're gonna
know.
use.
So
For sure.
that was my 18, 16-year-old self too. Explore. I was like, see, it was easier. High school was just so much easier, especially online with the pandemic.
It is a misdemeanor state exam answer if you're caught cheating on your test. You don't want to do
It
that.
should be.
And you won't be able to get a license for 5 years.
Yeah, it should be because it's
Well,
you're
not even
selling
probably
insurance.
longer. Yeah.
You're selling insurance. I would dream of it.
So where we're going with that is, and you've shared a lot of your emotions, right? Like your feelings of, you saw somebody and this happened, and
Yeah.
and you know that you have to keep your emotions in check. But
Mhm.
it's our emotions that actually create our actions, and our actions create our results. So let's just talk again. This morning, you woke up. You said you're feeling tired, but despite feeling tired, you still took the actions of being here today. Why is that?
Because
And what motivated you to get here today? What changed the feelings of tired? Was it the coffee you got?
no, that was I didn't take any here. That was my first cup, surprisingly. No, I would just say I have a goal to
Yeah.
pass the exam, no matter what date it is. I promised to be here. I promised you I would be
Yeah.
here. So I just feel like I try to stay true to my word.
Yeah, me too. I was like, should we reschedule? Because everybody's supposed to be here on Monday.
I know.
And I'm like, nope. I told Angela.
I was like, I'll be here. No, I was coming.
Both of us made this
Yeah,
commitment. I'm
yeah.
glad Tommy's gonna be joining us in a
Yeah.
minute. on it's almost here. But again, it's our feelings and our emotions that create our actions, and our actions that create our results. I mean, if you woke up this morning, you're like, oh, I'm feeling sick. Oh, I'm not gonna go to class. You could have let those emotions to get the best of you and not be here, right? And not get those results. But you shared again some more things, and that's your thoughts. Oh, I made the commitment of being here. I told Jackie I was going to be here. And so that shifted your feelings of, okay, I got to get up and get going. And you took the actions of getting up, getting out the door, and then being here on time. Makes sense? But again, what created those thoughts of I have to be here? And that is your beliefs. Your beliefs that you gave your word. Your word is gold. That belief that's the core of who you are, it's given you the results of being here today. Does that make sense? And it's all connected. And you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with passing the test? It has everything to do with passing the test, because ultimately we said 50% of passing the test is mindset. Your mindset is created by your beliefs. It's the beliefs that you have will create the results that you have. Again, if you believe you're going to pass, you're going to have positive thoughts about taking this test. You're going to feel confident, and you're going to take the action steps that are congruent with passing the test, and you will pass. But if you don't believe you're going to pass, you're going to have negative thoughts. They may even spiral, which will cause very negative emotions, which will create different actions when you're taking the test, and you'll get different results. And subconsciously, it's all based upon what's going on in your beliefs. And so it's really important for us to have take a second and have a check-in on what beliefs do you have around taking tests? What beliefs do you have about taking this class? What beliefs do you have about being in the industry? Because all that has something to do with the results you're going to get. If let's pretend, Angela, you're like, oh my gosh, my mom's forcing me to do this. I don't want to do this. If you had that belief in the back of your mind, you would be getting different results. You wouldn't pass the property and casualty the first time. I guarantee you that. In fact, I have a lot of students that come from my parents are agents. I'm here because they're forcing me to be here, and they don't pass the first time. And it's all because they're being forced to be here. But again, why aren't they like you? Why aren't they embracing the opportunity to go work with their parents, right? What's that belief that they have that's stopping them? And so what happens is they have some limiting beliefs. And so subconsciously they self-sabotage. So it's important to take a peek and look at what are your limiting beliefs, what's going to bog you down in defeat, and what are your empowering beliefs that will actually propel you forward in success. And I have to say that you pass your property and casualty, there's something like a belief within your mind that is driving you to do what it takes to pass. Does that make sense? Which is different than the kids from those other parents that I'm telling you about, because they're going to self-sabotage. They don't want to. Why? I don't know. There's something there for them, right? Yeah. One of the kids that or he's not a kid, he's, 19 years old, but I guess they're still kids in my mind, but
the teens,
the tweens, he just didn't want to do it, and then he hunkered down and he did it. But I think it was because there was a belief that he would lose something if he didn't. So dad had to kind of, put some extra pressure on him to make him do it. And because that pressure was pushed onto him, that's what created, okay, I better get it done or else, right? And then he changed and he shifted his mindset. But he shouldn't have to get to that. It really should be how can you empower yourself to propel yourself to do what you got to do to pass this test? Again, there's still people out there. I have this one student I was trying to coach, and she has so many limiting beliefs, and it just kind of breaks my heart. She passed the life insurance the first time, but property and casualty she struggled with. And she came in here, she's like, I didn't pass again. And I'm like, well, what do you think happened? She's like, I don't know. It was just it's too stressful. People my age shouldn't be taking this remotely. You got to tell people remote is not good. Like, she's totally going off on, but all those thoughts that she's sharing is really sharing a core belief that she doesn't believe in herself. She thinks she's not, she's older. And all of these limiting beliefs, again, it's our beliefs that create our thoughts that create our feelings and our emotions, and our feeling and our emotions that create our actions, which create our results. So for me, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, we got to work on your beliefs, because right now you're not empowering yourself. You're limiting yourself even more, right? But until she's open for coaching, there's nothing for me to do. She's not. really open. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be that way. Some people won't pass. And it's because they're not open. Yeah.
Fail so many times.
Yeah, I think
know.
for her it's a bit different. She has a belief that she's too old and she can't learn because she's too old. And that's again, anything in life, you go into it like that, that limiting belief is gonna stop you in everything you do.
Yeah.
So you just gotta get past that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So anyway, TMI, but more to the story, you're probably wondering again, what does this have to do with passing the state exam? Everything to do with passing the state exam, everything. It's your beliefs, your mindset that's gonna coach you, guide you, and lead you to be able to pass the state exam the first time. All right, so now going into the curriculum to pass the first time, we said starts with, or not starts, but is GWC. What the heck is GWC? G stands for having a goal. So you have to have a very clear and concise goal, right? Your outcome result goals means the same thing. The moment you have a very clear and concise goal, now you're going towards something. One of my favorite trainers, his name is Stephen Covey. Unfortunately, he has passed, but he taught for many years, start with the end in mind. He wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Have you heard of that book? Yeah. His son rewrote the book, tweaked it a bit, and then he wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, and has been giving that book away in some schools in our nation. So it's kind of cool because there's that change that's happening in our schools, right? They're trying to teach the kids about forward thinking, right? Not what do they call it? It's not called forward thinking. It's called, I left my mind. A growth mindset.
Oh yeah.
That's what it's called now. A growth mindset versus having not a growth mindset, which I forget what they call it. A closed mindset,
Yeah.
right? We say open mind, closed mind, same thing, but now they're saying a growth mindset, or there's maybe a different word they're using, but despite that, doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You have to have an open mind. But again, back to the conversation at hand, you have to have a goal. You had a goal. Your goal was to pass a test on Monday originally, and you changed it. Why?
Just because of the first part of what you're saying, where a lot of negative thoughts were more like present. Like I just didn't feel prepared enough, and I have test anxiety issues if I don't feel prepared enough.
Oh,
So I like tend to like self-sabotage and beat myself down like when I'm in the room, and like everything will heighten, like the room, camera, like I just know it. Like I've had that experience before, right? Just assumed that it was gonna be easy, and then I go in there and I'm just counting down everyone I think I'm wrong. Like I'm thinking I'm a very good overthinker.
oh, so
So
you don't believe you're a great test taker?
No, because I've had too many experiences, but I've had a couple where the times that I've succeeded, I was over prepared. Like I was very prepared.
Yeah.
Like I felt confident in myself.
So you know the actions that you need to take to get the results. And if you believe the test is hard, but if you give yourself everything and you work hard, you know you'll pass. But if you don't work hard, you know that you won't pass. And that all comes again from your beliefs. Again, it's about looking at your beliefs and changing the beliefs. So what belief can you create out of this conversation that will empower you to be able to pass the life the first time? The cool thing is you have the experience of the property and casualty. So that's going to propel you forward, because what you're going to do, this is one of the things that we teach, is making sure that you use what's called a positive emotional anchor. That passing that property and casualty should be a positive emotional anchor for you, that when you think about it and what you did to make that happen, you got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
You got to work just as hard, and you're going to be able to pass a test. So you leverage the energy from that experience to be able to recreate that energy today for this test. That makes sense. And so again, that's all of the mindset that your mom has taught you very well.
Yeah.
I'm just here to remind you, right?
Yeah,
You're just here to remind you.
Reminded me.
Yeah. So again, it's important to have that goal, because when you have a goal, you're working towards something, right? When you don't have that goal set, you're like, okay, I'll pass it later. Then, you know, anything that can happen will get in the way from accomplishing that goal. But once you set a deadline to that goal, isn't it funny how things just started to magically happen to make it happen? And so it's really, really important to make sure you have that goal. We always say, write your goal as if it's already been completed, and your body and mind will work together to accomplish that of what you want. So an example, I was assuming you were taking your test on Monday, but go ahead and change that to the date. We would encourage you to write your goal as it is now, the date 4:30, and I have passed my state licensing exam, and I'm celebrating at blah blah blah, or dot dot dot. Your job is to fill in the dot dot dot, right? Where will you be celebrating that you passed your test?
Maybe a key.
A key. Oh, my favorite place, right there in Campbell.
Yeah, there's a lot of the keys. I go to the one on the south side. That's where I'm at.
You live in the south side.
My friend works at that one too.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah, keys is
That's a good
cool
place to
spot.
celebrate
Yeah.
with all your friends.
I know, yeah, family, but yeah, that's I would think that or just
Dinner, yeah, to reward yourself. I had one student, she says, I don't like to go out and eat very often, but I'm gonna buy myself a new pair of shoes. And whatever it is for you, right? That celebration is huge. Again, it's the mindset that's created. If I go and I focus on, I gotta pass my state exam, I gotta pass my state exam, visually what's in my face is I gotta pass the state exam, and I can't see past that. And it becomes this big thing that I have to do, right? And sometimes it can be overwhelming. But if we just push back and we focus on what's behind that, which is a celebration, then what tends to happen, the psychology of it anyway, is that this is just a little road bump that I have to go through to get to where I'm really going, which is a celebration. Makes sense? And so we always say focus on the celebration. That's the important part. What's going to get you to focus to celebrate? Passing that test. So what is it going to take for you to pass that test? You got to study. You got to study effectively. You got to take the test effectively, right? And so, like Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind and work forward on the milestones that you have to accomplish to get to where you're really going. So if you're going to the celebration, milestone is passing the test. What's the milestone before that? Study. What are you going to study? The playbook. How many times? 5 times. And being able to stay on that path to be able to pass the test the first time. Well, again, that path will provide you the structure that you need to be able to pass the exam the first time. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So again, writing your goal down is really important. You might find, Angela, that after this class, you're like, Jackie, I'm actually ready to take my test. Can I move it? Yes, you can. You can definitely move it. You may not want to wait until January because you finished the online course. Did you actually, let me just get personal. Did you do the online course where you read it and you actually did the time?
not as much as I am with the
Property and casualty. Yeah.
No, yeah. No, I think I just, from my experience, this helped me a lot. And I was just listening while I was doing stuff. So it doesn't
doesn't stick as good.
I'm not a person that hears and learns. I'm a visual person. So like presentations, examples, real life things stick better than just hearing it sometimes. Like I have to.
So the online videos didn't help you unless you sat down.
The guy does have like a
monotone
voice, or I just can easily tune him out while I'm doing things.
Yeah.
My lashes like at night while listening to him, and I'm over here just like all getting frustrated, totally tuned out that I was talking about. So yeah, no, that wasn't, and I'm just so used to that.
Yeah.
Cool, right? I tuned out lectures so many years.
So are you like my son, where my son during the pandemic, he would turn on the teacher and then throw the camera up in the ceiling and then go back to sleep. Yeah. And he would just get, I don't know how he got straight A's, but he did.
It's because sometimes they would over explain the concept, or they would not either over explain or under explain depending on the material. And also just some of the stuff was like, hey, get in breakout groups and talk about what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to do
it's that review.
Yeah, it said that review, and then it was just like that point
too much.
Like, no, let's just keep going. Like, yeah, that was me.
Okay. But you had a goal. You were able to finish college, which is great, right? In 4 years. Yeah, that's great.
That's 5 years.
Oh, so your pandemic, your senior year was pandemic, so you didn't get a senior ball or anything. Oh man,
prom or graduation. So my college graduation was like the big
graduation,
big party. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Well, once you have your goal set, what do you think is the next step?
Once I have them set.
Once you know your goal, what's the next step?
I guess pursuing the actions and commitments that need to happen in order to accomplish that goal.
We're still talking about mindset. So once you have your goal set, the next step is to know your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you going through this torture? I mean, why did you go through the pre-licensing? Why are you in the class? Why, like, what's the purpose of you being here? Like, what is your why?
Well, the main reason is it's kind of a have to, technically.
It is.
Because we do have a second office My mom told me, she's like, I needed some time after the PNC to take a break. But I did tell everyone that since we're opening 2 offices, that there was a meeting a long time ago that they're gonna have to get their life license. So it's some people in the office just got it.
So let me ask, let's go a little bit deeper than that. I mean, I hate to say it this way, but that's a shallow why. What
Well,
is
that's-
your reason why? Why are you working? Let's go really deep. Why are you working for your mom?
There's just decent money, and the job market right now is pretty rough.
And
It's not really the best experience working with your parents because I have the 9 to 5 and the 5 to 9. I
Yeah,
love them currently in the Bay Area. It's hard to get off on your own. It's good money, it's good knowledge to understand some part of the market and how certain things work.
Mhm.
I do feel a little bit more, not totally advanced, like I love my friends, but I do feel like I know a little bit more on
Like,
certain
yeah.
adult angles on things, how to approach things. So it's prepped me a lot, especially with what you're saying about the whole, we get a lot more no's than yeses.
Yeah.
It's really taught me how to, I guess, develop a tougher shell, not,
persevere.
yeah, not get so emotional about, things and
Mhm.
don't take things so personally. So yeah, that's a good industry to learn not to take
Yeah.
stuff personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta get that skin, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna hear that every so often, it likes to
I think
turn
I
on
think
for some
he gets
reason.
the door like he's in kind of,
No,
no,
it's just
not.
the copy machine doing its thing.
But also I do want to sell and make money and
Okay,
save
then.
families and
Let's go to the make money part. Why is that important to you?
just because I'm young, need to get some kind of savings going and some kind of strategy to build up
Yeah, so look,
financial backing kind of thing.
so looking forward in 5 years, if you were able to create what the lifestyle you wanted
Mhm.
for yourself using the insurance industry, what would your life look like?
Um,
Would you live at home with mom and dad still?
No.
Okay.
No.
So where would you live?
hopefully still in the Bay Area.
Okay.
I do like California. It's also another reason why I took up the insurance business, is because I didn't want to be forced out. You
Mhm.
know, I'm still open to not having to be here my whole life, but I don't know. It just feels like the place for me right now feels like it's here in my
Okay.
hometown, because I was just gone for like 3 years in a small town in Chico,
Timbuktu.
you know? Yeah, in Timbuktu. So it wasn't the best experience. The nightlife here is better. The people, there's so much more people.
Yeah.
Traffic sucks.
Uh-huh.
There's
Of
no
course.
traffic up there, but it's way more diverse down here.
Yeah.
It's way more
So you like to stay here. So
Yeah.
your lifestyle would be here. Would you be
Yeah.
married?
there's the right person that would
Okay.
keep me happy and not drive me crazy. Then
So at this time, you're not looking at that in 5 years, maybe 10 years.
maybe I mean I don't force relationships, is not my goal. My goal is to let that happen on its own if it is natural,
Uh-huh.
and just focus on myself at least for the next 3 to 5 years in building myself up.
Yeah. And again, if you're married or not, it's all going to come to what? Back to your beliefs. The results of you being married by the time you're 25, let's pretend,
Yeah.
is going to be based upon your beliefs, right? There's some people that are married before they're right out of high school. Why? Because that was their belief, right? Again, all your results in life are going to come from your beliefs. So it's important to look at, if you're not getting the results that you want in life, look at the beliefs that are driving you. Make sense? And so again, what does this have to do with passing the test? Everything. If you're not passing the test, it's important to look at your why. It's important to look at really the why. It's the why that's the motivator. It's the why that's going to get you to do what you need to do to get to where you want to go. And if you don't have your why defined, a deep why, anything can take you out of the game. You know, you can get another job offer from, what was your major?
Business management.
Oh, perfect for this. But what if another person comes up to you like, oh, I got this great business, I want you to come and manage it for me? Would you leave your mom to go and work for them?
It depends on the business, depends on what it is, the whole situation. I wouldn't leave lightly because I do have loyalty,
Yeah.
in my
Your belief is
names.
loyalty.
Yeah, my life, my loyalty. But at the end of the day, my parents, I know they love me.
Hold it against you,
Hold it
yeah.
against me if it didn't work out. But they just wanted me to have an opportunity at college to learn. Show me that there is an opportunity here.
And utilize what you learned, right?
Yeah. So I'm just trying to give it the best chance, like really pursue all opportunities and
Awesome.
make sure I give it up my all.
And you can start your own State Farm office too, if you wanted
We'll
to.
see. I mean, the way my mom be working and she talks about it, I'm like, wow, It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to be an agent, trust me. It's a
It
lot
is.
to sell and then also do the admin stuff. on your
That's
own.
why you have people work for you, right?
Oh yeah, but yeah, the way my mom has taught me is you do it all yourself. It's it. You learn a lot more. And
Oh yeah, for sure.
Your own auditor, your own this, your own that, because that's more people you have to pay.
Yeah.
Do it
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
So
But you also leverage other people's
she's also a
energy.
Virgo. So Virgos, they don't trust anybody and they
Yeah.
do it
For themselves. Yeah.
So,
That explains it.
That's the main reason.
That's the belief right
Yeah.
there.
So
Well, just remember the deeper, the bigger, the most detailed the why. That will provide you the positive attitude. You'll build the momentum
Totally.
towards your goal, result, or outcome. Now, once you know what you want and why you want it, the most crucial step is your commitment at 100%. And that's what you've been showing. Again, it's when you commit at 100% is that you access what I call WIDA. Yes, another acronym, not one that you're going to see on your test, but you'll definitely, again, use it for your test. And what does it stand for? It stands for the whatever it takes attitude. And of course, with integrity, because we don't want you to cheat to pass your state exam. That's going to get you in trouble. So again, once you have your why defined, that's what creates the commitment. When all three things are defined, you have set your goal, you know why, and you're committed. They say the how to will show up. So I have to ask, again, what's the next step? Crucial step is to take massive action towards accomplishing your goal. So again, I have to ask, are you committed to passing your test? And if you're committed, again, the how to will show up. You'll track the solution. Here's the solution. Study effectively. How do you study effectively? Make sure that you study. It says binder, but it's supposed to be playbooks. I apologize. I had to tweak my real estate. And I just realized I didn't change that. So I'll fix that. So you're going to study the playbook 5 times and attend exam prep. How long should you study? Until you take your test, 2 to 3 hours every day. Okay. Now, if your test was like, let's say Wednesday, I would say hunker down and make sure you study every day, 4 to 5 hours a day. But you have some time on your hands, Angela, because your test is not going to be till January. So maybe 2 to 3 hours every day. Hunker down and study that playbook. How do you study effectively? You want to use our QLS study techniques. Tommy, this is what I was trying to wait for you. I was doing my best to wait till you get here, but it's okay. How far away are you, Tommy?
5 minutes, almost there.
Okay, good. We'll start talking about this conversation, but once you get in, we'll actually do we'll do the okay. So our signature test taking technique is called stacking with spaced repetition. It's really important that you understand the concepts. So when you look at your playbook, page 7, if you were to open your playbook, and again, we'll wait till Tommy gets here to do this, you'll notice that there's a bunch of fast facts. And then when you get to page 11, you'll notice that there's a bunch of practice exams and the right answer is highlighted for you. That is on purpose. We do not want you to test yourself. That is an old school way of studying, which is not conducive for you passing the state exam today. It takes a lot longer. So we're trying to cut things out. So we want you to read the right answer, question, and right answer. Let me tell you the why. When I asked you a question, several questions today, Angela, what did you do when I asked you a question? Yeah, we don't want you to think, right? In fact, whether you're reading the question, you're being asked a question, you see a question, again, you hear a question, doesn't matter. Your brain always goes into what's called recall. And sometimes the recall is quick. You're young, right? You got quick recalls. So I don't know if you saw me. I'm like, what's that thing called again? Oh, yeah. It's a growth mindset. Takes me a little bit longer to recall stuff just because as we age, or they say if we have too much sugar in our diet, this can cause this. But it's important to remember that your brain is going into recall. So if I read a question and I read the right answer, my brain is not even registering the right answer because guess what? My brain went into recall. So physically, I might have read it, but subconsciously, I went away for a minute. So it's not registering everything. So we tweak this a little bit. We say, okay, read the right answer first. Feed your brain the right answer first, and then read the question with the right answer as a statement. And using that technique helps your brain be more focused and more intentional because the recall is going to be forced to be really quick because you just read it. Make sense? So again, it's that strategy of reading the right answer, question, and right answer that helps you stay focused and intentional. But it's also really important to remember to understand the concept that's being provided by reading the factual information that's provided when you read questions with right answers. which we'll show you when Tommy gets here an example of that. Again, if you're confused, oh, there's another typo. If you are confused, it's important to read the explanation that's provided just below the question and right answer. Okay, so again, the answer's bolded and then the explanations below. Now, sometimes the explanation is just reiterating what you just read, and that's because it's a definition or it is what it is, right? You can't really change it. So it's important to keep that top of mind. Now, stacking with spaced repetition looks like this. You're gonna learn in stacks. Each page is a stack. See on the bottom there, each page is a stack. So you're gonna learn page 7, then you're gonna review page 7. So you learn a stack and then you're going to do what's called spaced repetition. You're going to learn another stack and then review both stacks. So you'll learn page 8 and review 7 and 8. You'll learn page 9 and you'll review 7, 8, and 9. You'll learn page 10 and you'll review 7, 8, 9, and 10. You'll learn page 11 and you'll review 8, 9, 10, and 11. What happened to 7? Well, you saw 7 5 times already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we can drop page 7 and then add a page, right? So we add a page, drop a page, add a page, drop a page. Now, again, using this strategy of stacking with spaced repetition will provide you the repetition that your brain needs to capture all that stuff that you didn't retain the first time through. If I were to have you read page 7 all the way to 186, you would forget page 7 before you got to page, I would say page 20, right? Because the information, if you don't review it, starts to dissipate. In fact, they did a study and they did a class, a full day class, let's say on a Monday, and then they had everybody come back the following Monday, but they told them, do not study anything. Don't review anything that we taught you. And the retention test came back where the students only retained 10% of what they learned. Now, what do you need to pass this test? But what percentage do you need to pass a test?
Oh, actually, the life, so
Oh no, 60. We're still
60?
60. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I just need a D.
You need a D minus,
A D
right?
minus, yeah.
Which to me just seems a little off, but if you shoot for a D minus and you miss, what's gonna happen? Yeah, so you always want to shoot for a higher score. We'd say pretend, even though it's true, it's only 60%, pretend you only need like 80%. And then you'll play a different game, right? So it's really important to review, because if you don't review, then you're going to lose the information. They say if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So it's important to review it. So using the stacking with spaced repetition modality is really the way to retain information at the optimum level. But that's just the first time through the playbook. You need to go through the playbook a total of 5 times. This is just the first time. Now let's finish how the first time works. Again, when Tommy gets here, we'll do a visual on it. But you're going to do what's called taper down. So let's see, when does exam 1 end? What page does exam 1 end? Is it page 29? I think it was page 29. Ooh, I was really off. Okay, we'll pretend it's page 29, the end of exam 2. Am I fishing there? Well, where did I get page 29 from? Maybe that's property. It is? Okay, good. So let's say tonight you're studying, Angela and Tommy, and you're like, okay, I'm done studying for the night. And you get to page 29. So when you do page 29, after you're done with that one page, you want to taper down. So again, still using the spaced repetition modality. So this is how tapering down works. You'll learn page 29, but again, you're running through the book with 4 stacks, right? So when you get to 29, you're going to review 26, 27, 28, 29. That's the same. But then you still have only seen page 29 2 times. That's not enough times. So you'll go back and you'll do 27, 28, 29, and then 28 and 29, and then 29. That much repetition? Absolutely. Why? Because repetition is the mother of all learning. It's how you learn how to walk, talk, read, and write. It was all through repetition. We got to get back to the basics and review the concepts the way the state wants you to know it. Not the way you think they want you to know it, the way that it's written in the playbook. Because if you notice from the time that you did the property and casualty, a lot of those questions were spot on, right? If not exact, they were pretty close. Not word for word. Let me promise you right now, it will not be word for word. When students come back and say, oh my gosh, it wasn't even the same. It's if you're expecting to see it word for word, you're not going to see it word for word. They tweak some of the words, but the concept is the same. The concepts remain constant and the words around it can change. So that's where it becomes really important to remember that, because if you're expecting to see it exactly the same way, and then you go in there and it's not, that creates a shock to the mind. And then what thought comes to your mind is, oh my gosh, I don't know this. And it starts to spiral. And then you stand the test and your brain says, okay, Angela, you can't remember this. You don't know this. And then you can't access that of what you do know because you just told your brain to shut down and it doesn't know. Make sense? So it's all conscious decision that you're making. Hello. Yay. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know. This is life and health.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I thought you mentioned cash.
Oh, she took the property and casualty already. So we we're going back to remind her. She did so well in that test. So yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
We had I guess even Irma had a miss Angela and I talked to, you missed the beginning of the class, but Angela called, what was it? Maybe 3 weeks ago. She registered for the class for the 21st because our staff had changed it to the 21st because of the holiday, right? And so I guess Irma didn't get the memo. So moral to the story, we are still set to continue this class. And I guess Irma's going to be teaching on Monday. So if you wanted to, Angela, you can always come back and do it again. Not sure if you want to, but she has a different spin, different energy, right? But and she doesn't go over all this mindset stuff. She goes over it a little bit different. But let's break down the exam. So again, your exam will be 150 questions. You will have actually 155 because 5 of those questions are bonus questions, but they're not really bonus questions. There's no point value to them. It will be multiple choice. And they used to give you the results right away. Now, let me teach you something really quickly. When you submit your test, keep on looking to the screen because it'll blink real quickly. If it's green, it means you passed. If it's red, it means you didn't pass. But it's quick. It's like a millisecond. So you got to watch your screen really good when you push submit. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for the email to show you whether you passed or if you didn't pass. Even when you go to the location, they don't give you the results right there, right? They're like, they did. Nice.
This was taking forever to load.
I had one student tell me that they told them, but you passed. That's why maybe they gave it to you that way.
Possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one student tell me that they told them it would be available online so it took them a while to get the results. So again, it may be the system, maybe the day, maybe the person that you're there, maybe the office that you're in, that they change. So just be ready for them to tell you. Oh, the day after. You might want to push it up.
Why?
Why? Because you're gonna be ready. You're gonna be here today with me. You're gonna.
No, I was gonna take it today, but then I thought we have the crank course on Monday, so I can.
Yeah. Well,
That's
you
why
might
I
want to
said-
move it up. Are you taking it remotely?
Yeah. I
You-
don't wanna go in the background and then watch you.
Yeah. They're gonna watch you on the computer anyway. On the remote. On the remote, they watch you.
So I just wanna
Get it
that out of
done.
the way. Okay. Okay.
Your whole Christmas is gonna be spent studying though.
Yeah, I think it should be okay, I think we'll see. A lot of
Repetition, yeah. And so going back to this right here, I know you were driving, so we didn't go over it. If you open your playbook to page 7, you'll see there's a lot of concepts there. Have you been studying those concepts already, Tommy?
Some of it, no.
Okay, don't shortcut it. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to read all this stuff. I already know this. Don't do that to yourself. Some of those concepts pieces are written the same exact way that the state wants you to know it. A part of it's the question, and then a part of it is actually the answer. So that's why we say don't shortcut it. Make sure that you are going through every single concept in that playbook. Again, using the stacking with spaced repetition modality, this will ensure that you capture the ones that you miss. Because naturally we've checked out, right? Even when you were driving, you weren't listening to everything I said because there was, you were there, but you were half there. And so what tends to happen when we're reading, sometimes we just naturally just check out. It's just human nature. Okay. And so this stacking with spaced repetition will provide you the structure to be able to capture everything and be able to retain everything at the optimum level. So as I was saying, when you go to page 7, again, if you were to read all page 7, that's a lot of stuff. What tends to happen is you just naturally check out. We've done retention tests here at Quick Learning School, and we found that after like 12 to 16, people would start getting the information wrong. Why? Because that's when they just naturally checked out. So we got to capture all those holes in your learning so you're ready for the test. And again, I just can't reiterate it enough. The stacking with spaced repetition is really the way to do it. Okay. All right. Test taking strategies. Be prepared. Study effectively. We're going to study effectively in just a minute. We're going to go over the study technique that I just talked about using the stacking with spaced repetition. It's important to have a positive attitude. That's your beliefs that we were just talking a lot about, right? It's your beliefs that are going to create whether you pass or you don't pass. If you believe you're a great test taker, no problem. You're going to go in here and do what you got to do to pass. You're going to study effectively. You're going to be coachable, right? You're going to do it. But if you have a negative belief about you being able to pass, unfortunately, that may stop you until you take responsibility for that belief and you change that belief. That may stop you. If you are one that is in that space, it's important to talk to us so we can coach you. Irma's a really good coach. She uses what's called NLP, which stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, to help you get past those limiting beliefs. Okay. Now, let's say you're sitting at the state exam, Angela, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know this. Don't say that, because that's going to just create the situation where you're not going to be able to remember anything. It's important to stop yourself, look away from the screen that look away from the question that caused that anxiety and focus on your breath. Remember, your brain can only focus on one thing at one time. So if it's focused on the question and it's sucking your energy, it's going to continue to suck your energy. So it's really important to get away from that question. Look away from the screen, focus on your breathing, because when you focus on your breathing, you're able to restore the oxygen levels going to your brain. When there's any type of anxiety going on, your physiology changes. Part of that physiology is your breathing changes. You have fast, shallow breaths. When you have fast, shallow breathing, what happens to the oxygen levels going to your brain? It reduces. If there's a reduction of oxygen levels going to your brain, what happens? They say, with Dr. Mike class, confusion and disorientation. And in extreme cases, you can faint or die. Yes, people have fainted at the test. Not died, but fainted at the test, right? Because the anxiety was just so much. I had one student, she had a fear of heights. And back then, you had to take the test at the Department of Insurance, and it was on the 16th floor. Yeah. And they put her right next to the window. And she didn't say anything because she didn't think she could say anything. So when she was there, after 15 minutes of being right next to the window, she's like, I can't do this anymore. She went to the proctor and she's like, I just can't be here. I'm just getting really bad anxiety. And she didn't even tell her why. She called us right after. She's like, I left the test. What happened? Well, I didn't tell anybody, but I have a fear of heights, and they put me right next to the window. I'm like, oh, that's a bad combination. She couldn't get herself away from that. So that's a belief she's had for her whole life, right? In her eyes. And so I said, okay, well, Sacramento, it's the first floor. So she rescheduled 2 days later in Sacramento, and she passed her test the first time. Again, what's going to cause anxiety? You got to make sure that you don't go there. But if you focus on what is giving you anxiety, you're going to get more anxiety. But if you focus on your breath, you're able to restore your oxygen levels, calm yourself down, and then be there 100%, focus on what you're there to do. Okay. So when you take the test, it's all about making sure you manage your energy, right? Now, a lot of people don't understand how important it is to use our test taking techniques like to the T. Okay. Now, let me just give you some tidbits. We don't know if this is a smart test or not. We have no clue. We will never know. But what I do know is feedback from students coming back, sharing that using our technique is working, and they seem to feel like they know everything. right? And so this is how it works. Remember, if you study the way that we teach you how to study, and then you take the test the way that we're going to teach you how to take the test, you're going to be very focused and very intentional. Okay. We're going to teach you an unconventional way of taking the test. Remember, the test maker's job is to get you not to pass, right? And so she's going to do things on purpose to shake you up. What does she like to do? She likes to put the harder questions up front. In fact, my number one question on my test, Tommy, the answers were all in acronym format, which meant I need to know my acronyms, right? And so what happened was, if it wasn't me, like a trainer taking the test, right? If I was you, I would have been freaked out, right? All acronyms, I better know my acronyms, right? And that was test question number 1. And progressively it was getting harder. Now, again, we don't know if it's a smart test or not, but what we want to do is give you some solutions in the event that it is a smart test. So I used to say you're going to take your test in 3 rounds. After my last cram course I just taught, and a student that took the test that didn't pass, didn't do this, I now say 4 rounds because they didn't understand what I was talking about. So I'm going to say 4 rounds now due to this student that gave me some great feedback. Okay. So what's round 1? When you sit down and you take your test, you're going to go, they're going to, again, the experience is that you're going to go in there and they're going to check you in. As you remember, you guys are both taking it remotely, so never mind. They're still going to check you in.
Yeah.
You have to have your driver's license. You're going to go to the camera and they're going to, make sure your camera's working. They're going to want to see your ID, and they're going to have you, as you said, scan the room with your computer to make sure that nobody's in the room and there's no papers. I took it also remotely during the pandemic just to see, because it was like the first time that they had launched it, just to see what they were doing. And I did it in my kitchen. And I have a really big island. My island was empty, nothing on the island, okay? But all the papers that were on my island, I grabbed them and I put them on my kitchen counter, which was a mile away. Okay, not really a mile, but it felt like a mile away. When they saw those papers, they're like, you can't have those papers there. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's way over there. Like, okay. So I had to go grab the papers, and then I had to literally go take them to my room, to another room, because again, my kitchen and my living room is one room. And I couldn't have any papers anywhere. They were very strict about it.
Just papers.
They were just papers. Yeah. So you want to make sure it's a clean room, right? The other thing that happened was I like to do this when I take a test.
Yeah.
I like what you're doing. Mr. Mero, please remove your hand from your face. Not allowed. I like to read out loud. In a testing room, when you go to a testing center, the other students hate me because I love to read out loud. It's all relaxed. And in the testing center, it's okay because you're in a testing center. They don't like it. They give everybody like earphones and stuff to help them. But I can still do it there. But on remote, you can't do that. Mr. Mero, you're not allowed to say anything. I'm just reading out loud to myself because I process it better that way. Sorry, Mr. Romero, you can't do that. And they're not talking to me, they're texting me that. So now I'm getting distracted about these texts coming to me, or these messages saying, I can't have my hand to my face. I can't say the words out loud. So you got to be ready for that, because you can't do that. Make sure that you don't drink a lot of water before you have to test. Now, will they let you go to the restroom? Just ask. I got to use the restroom. And they're like, okay, you better hurry up. But they're supposed to let you use the restroom, although some people are saying they're not letting them. I don't know. Maybe wear some Depend just in case.
You were gone more than 5 minutes. You automatically fail.
In the room, in the testing room, but
That's what they
remotely.
said remotely too.
Remotely too.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least for,
That's-
but she took it, I think, at the beginning of the year or last year.
Yeah, it depends on your proctor. Gotta
Yeah.
be careful, because I know the student that was here yesterday, she was like, they didn't even let me go to the bathroom. I had to go so bad. I just turned in my test. I'm like, why'd you do that? Ask. Just ask. Say, yeah, I really gotta go to the bathroom. And they should be fine with it, right?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do in 5 minutes? Anyway,
Yeah.
so again, be ready for the proctor to be giving you a hard time. Don't take it personal, because if you take it personal, what happens to your emotion? It goes up. And if your emotion goes up, what happens to intelligence? They say it goes down, right? So it's important to manage your energy while you're there. That's what this is all about. Building confidence, no parking allowed, is all about managing your energy while you're there, using your breath, making sure that you are, again, utilizing our tools and staying focused. Whatever you focus on will expand, right? So in round one, once you check in, let me go back a little bit. I kind of rushed to that. When you check into your computer, the first thing that will pop up after the proctor has you all set up, and please, please, please make sure you log in half an hour before your test, because that gives you half an hour to fix any bugs or problems that you have. If after 15 minutes, you're not with a proctor and you're not actually talking to a proctor, it's really important to grab your phone and call the tech support number so that you can get a ticket number. That way, if something happens, you don't have to pay for another test. They're going to pay for your next test. Make sense? But 15 minutes is the timeline I give you. Again, I had one student say, well, I was trying to log in and they gave themselves 5 minutes and they couldn't get logged in. And at the time clock at 2:30 was their test. At 2:30, they couldn't access the test again to get back in. So what happened was they had to pay again because they lost their testing time. Even though he was trying to get in, he didn't have a ticket number to prove that he was having issues. Does that make sense? So I always say, if your test is at 2:30, start at 2. And if you're not in by 2:15, get on the tech support line and get them on the line, because then even if you're able to get on at 2:20, at least you got that tech support number ready to go in the event that you can't get in. Because at 2:30, that link stops. You can't even access it anymore. Okay. So you get in, you get checked in with the proctor. Once your test shows up on the screen, you'll have what's called a sample test. The sample test is not a sample test of your test. It's just to see if your computer is working. So all those questions are random questions like, how many stars on the flag? What do the stripes mean on the flag? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And I don't want you to spend your energy or rack your brain trying to figure it out. So just pick D, okay? D. Don't worry about those 5 questions. These are not the 5 questions we're talking about the bonus questions. These are just random, check computer status, compatibility, see if the computer's working, okay? So just pick D. Once you get through that sample test, now you can start your test. Once you get into your test, okay, the proctor says now you can start your test. You start your test. They should let you have a piece of paper. Now, when you go to the testing center, the test is going to have the questions right here, okay, and the answer choices right here. Let's see, the questions right here. And then down here is the navigation bar. Does that make it sound familiar? It'll tell you what time it is. It'll tell you how much time you have left. It'll tell you what, how many questions out of how many questions you've answered. And then there'll be a drop-down menu here where all the numbers, once you click on it, all the numbers of the questions on your test will be populated here, okay? What I want you to do once you get in there is I want you to click on that, go all the way to 155, actually, sorry, 155, because that's how many questions there are total. And then that's round 1. Whoop, just that? Yeah. Why? Here's why. If it's a smart test, what happens in a smart test? Do you guys know what happens in a smart test? The software system that is providing your test is analyzing your answers and creating your test when you're there. Based upon how you respond will determine the next question that you receive. So let's say you get a question on an annuity and you get it wrong. They're going to give you more questions, harder questions on annuities. Does that make sense? So we don't want the computer to analyze us. Make sense? We don't want it to, we want to figure it out. Oops, I can't see if I did that. We want to make sure that it's based upon a random test. The way to randomize it is just go to 155 and let the computer populate it. Make sense? You're forcing the computer to populate all the questions without analyzing you. And that's what we want to do. We want to trick the smart test and make it a dumb test, right? Because it can't analyze you.
Yeah.
And if it can't analyze you, then you're going to just get random questions. But if it's analyzing you, it's going to make it more difficult. That's not a fair game to play. Now, we will never know if it's a smart test or not. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell us. Okay. Now, on a real hard smart test, it won't let you navigate. It won't let you go to 155. So if they've changed it to a really hard test and now you cannot go to 155 and populate it, at that point, you know it's a smart test. So how do you combat the smart test at that point? Just go in there, and then round one is just picking D for every answer. Again, not letting it analyze you, just simply picking something just to populate the question. Now, so far, students have told us that they're still able to navigate. So, but it still can be a type of smart test. So we still want you to lock in your test at 155. Okay, so round one is locking in by going straight to 155. That's round one, okay? So round one, you're gonna go to 155. Round two, you're not gonna start at 1. That's what they want you to do. You're not doing that. Why not? Because we're playing this game to win. We're not playing it their way. We're gonna play it our way, right? So you're gonna start at question 31 and you're gonna go all the way to 155. Are you done with round one? No, you still gotta go back to 1 and back to 30, right? That's round one. In round one, you're only answering the questions that you know for sure. You are the ones that are like straight from the playbook, okay? The ones that just jump out at you. You're gonna skip long questions, long answers, hard questions, and most importantly, skipping math questions the first time through. You do not, or second time through, you do not answer those. Why? Those are energy suckers. They want you to get parked on the question, suck your energy. That way, when you go to the easier questions, those easier questions are now harder because you sucked your energy out on that hard question, on that math question. Make sense? Even long questions can be easy questions, but for some people, long questions are, in their mind, hard questions, even though they're very simple. They're banking on you thinking that way, right? But we're not playing the game their way. We're playing it our way, which is, again, in a way to win, okay? So the second round, or sorry, round 3 now, under round 3, it doesn't start till you get back to question 31. And in round 3, you're still going to be skipping hard questions and math questions. It's in round 4, when you get back to 31, right? I'll do it that way. That you're going to do the hard questions and the math questions. Again, why? Remember, this is a timed test. In a timed test, one of the things that causes anxiety is the time. Oh my gosh, I only have 3 hours. By the way, 3 hours is way too long. Most of our students will pass within 45 minutes to an hour and a half when they use our system. When they use this system, because they're not getting parked. Once you get through round 1, you should have answered at least 85 confidently, word for word from your playbook. Not all of them will be word for word, okay? Don't get me wrong, but the concepts will be there, okay? Some students come back and they say, oh my gosh, my whole test was the cram course slides. Well, guess what? The cram course slides are in the playbook. FYI. But in their mind, it was all from the cram course slides. Some students come back and they say, oh, nothing was from the cram course. Really? Yeah, it was in the playbook. Really? Yeah, they're all the same thing. FYI. But they don't remember. I have the student that's having a hard time passing right now. She keeps on saying nothing's on her test. Well, I took the test 3 times last year. I know it's there. I know with confidence and conviction that the information that's going to be on your test is in the playbook. And I can tell you for the life insurance test, I took that a few times. They haven't changed it much. They can't really change much, by the way. So because they can't change the test very much, they're changing the requirements under continuing education, where you have to take more hours. Did you hear about that? Ah, new law passed and it takes effect January 2025. I was just telling Angela about it. If you're going to sell life products, you have to do 4 hours of continuing education on life products. But I just sat in a 52-hour course. Why would I need to sit in a 4-hour course? Because people aren't learning. So they're
That
thinking
interesting?
more regulation. Now, first timers, 4 hours and then you're good. It's not a every year thing. It's a one time. And we have the course. It's like $29.99 to do the class. But it's ridiculous to me. If you just sat in 52 hours, why would you need to sit in another 4 hours? You just sat in 52 hours. Well, the thing is that most people are going online. They're not taking it in person. So it's not like you sat in Irma's class and you learned everything about whole life and term, and they're learning pieces of it. And maybe nothing of it. It just depends on how they do it and how they engage in the class. But anyway, that's TMI. Moral to the story, it's really important to remember to use the 4 rounds, because when you use the 4 rounds, you're more focused and you're more intentional. I still haven't gone over the signature test taking technique. We'll do that after we study a little bit, and then I'll teach you the signature test taking technique. During the class, Tommy, I don't know if you ever heard Irma say words mean what they say.
Yeah. So.
How many times? That's it? Man, I had one student track me. He said, Jackie, during the whole week, you said it 89 times. So only 3 times, she's in trouble. I got to talk to her about that one. She needs to say it more, because words truly do mean what they say. And when it comes to today's exam questions, sometimes it's that easy that you actually end up talking yourself out of the question because it was so easy. The question's in the answer and the answer is in the question. Do you remember that from property and casualty? Like the words were like, oh yeah, no, duh, right? But again, being here, we remind you of that. Some people go take the test and they don't know that. They don't know words mean what they say, so they end up getting it wrong. It's important to break down the long questions. Again, sometimes people get stressed over those long, oh my gosh, it was so long. The questions were so long. And in the playbook, they were so short. It's on purpose. There's only so much information in the question, which is really the question. Sometimes that test maker has added what's called TMI. You know what TMI is? Too much information. Blah, 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 blah. It has nothing to do with the question, but it's there to throw you off on purpose. And so you read this question, by the time you start, reading the question, you don't even know what they're asking because you've skimmed or you jumped to the wrong conclusion. And so we're going to teach you a whole new way to take the test. Stick with your first response if you're studying the way that we teach you how, which is reading the right answer, question, right answer. Your intuition will guide you. You'll get the answers right because what you've been feeding your brain is the right answers. Don't look at wrong answers. Okay, that's counterproductive. It's important to look at only the right answers and find the key point in the question that connects that answer. Accept questions. When you're taking the test, you're looking for what doesn't belong. A lot of accept questions, you got to learn to love accept questions. What I love about our accept questions are they're verbatim. They are verbatim on the test. What's in our playbook is verbatim on the test. Again, how do I know? Just an FYI, like I said earlier, I did take the test a couple of times. And I got a 96.7% on my test. So that's how I know that our playbook is spot on.
It is.
Yes.
It's
It's
yet?
I'm planning to.
that one's harder. You got to
Is it
work on.
next month?
Yeah,
Spot?
we have one here in San Jose, but Irma has one in Concord as well. But
I
yeah,
think I need
it's
that's kind
like a twice as hard as this one. This one's easy compared to that one. But like I was telling Angela, she took PC, passed the first time, but because she did that, she has to work just as hard for this one. And it makes it easier. But if she doesn't work as hard, then she may not pass this one.
that one's 60%.
All of them are 60% to pass, yeah. But don't believe that. It's a different mindset if you're only shooting for 60%.
I feel like it's 60%.
Do you have kids, Tommy?
No, married.
You're married, no kids yet? When you do have kids, you're planning to have kids? You'll see. But if you do have kids and they come home with a 60%, would you be okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so see what I mean? You better not be okay with you. You got to walk the talk, right? All right. Most importantly, you when all else fails, we say use the process of elimination. You'll be able to find 2 answer choices that make no sense. And you'll be able to throw those answer choices out. It's going to be that easy. But you got to stay focused. If you start thinking of other things like, oh my gosh, I don't know this, or oh my gosh, I didn't study, or oh my gosh, this is hard, guess what? Like we said, you heard us, it's just going to spiral from there. You have to control that little voice in your head. That little voice in your head, those thoughts, again, is sharing with you what your beliefs are. And so it's important to just, really listen to that. But most importantly, guide it. And when you're studying, edify yourself. You know what I mean by edify yourself? Yeah, absolutely. Like you got this. You're like, oh wow, this is a great review. And if you keep on focusing on that, whatever you focus on expands. So if you focus on, I got this, I'm studying effectively, I'm gonna master this playbook, you'll have no problem on the state exam. All right, let's use our signature test taking technique, and then we're gonna pass and celebrate our win, because again, it's really important that we win this game. I want to call it a game. Tommy, I don't want you to think that this is a test to see how smart you are, how intelligent you are. In fact, we've had a lot of doctors and lawyers come through our classes and they didn't pass the first time. Do you know why, Angela?
They're not focused that much.
Well, it actually kind of surprised me.
You know why though? You're crying already. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to make you cry.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I have like
Something in your eye.
I have a fuzzy steering wheel.
Oh,
That
got it
was,
in your
stuff
eye.
But no, I actually don't know why.
Here's why. They're too smart for their own good. They overanalyze and they talk themselves right out of the right answer because they're too analytical. You can't be analytical for this. When you're going through the playbook, you got to let the answer be what the answer is going to be and connect it. But don't get too analytical where you're like trying to understand everything about it, right? Understand the concept that's being provided. When you see the word shall, you're looking for mandatory in the answer. You see may, you're looking for permissive in the answer, or vice versa. You see aleatory, you're looking for insurer and the insured pay an equal amount. If you see aleatory, you're looking for an uncertainty in the exchange of value because it's based upon a future unknown event. Those are the only two questions on aleatory. If you see adhesion, rule in favor of the client. Well, the new way, rule against the insurer. Isn't that saying the same thing? So you got to again, understand the concept piece, but don't get too analytical. Okay. Once you pass, you want to post your story and tag us, call us, let us know how you did so we can celebrate with you. Yeah. Facebook, Instagram. Please let us know how you did. That's how we track our students. They don't tell us who passed.
I was gonna come back, so I knew I was gonna come back. So I was like,
all right. I know we're actually really on time, even though we started late, waited for Tommy here. We chit-chatted a bit. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a little break. Tommy, let me tell you where the bathroom is. It's right behind you. There is a little ducky on the counter there.
Yeah.
The Aflac ducky, you can use that to use the restroom. And then when we get back, we'll go over some questions that we've done on the test, a lot of asking on test questions. And then we'll study again, and then we'll teach you our signature test taking strategy. Okay. And then we'll take lunch around 1 o'clock. We were talking about taking like a half-hour lunch. Are you cool with that? Or yeah. And then that way we can leave a little bit earlier today. And then where was I gonna go with that?
How long's the break?
15 minutes. There's Starbucks across the street if you really want good coffee, but we've got some coffee for free here in the coffee room if you want some tea, some snacks for you guys. All that's for you guys, so help yourselves. But we'll meet back here at 11. Oh, wait, it's 10:55, so 15 minutes will be 11:10.
Okay.
Enjoy your break, and I'm gonna jump off of Zoom because we don't need it anymore.